Alex could feel the excitement bubbling in his chest as he walked alongside his mom's best friend, Lila. The red Martian dust crunched softly under their boots, leaving tiny prints behind them that would soon be swallowed by the faint wind. The colony on the edge of the canyon was peaceful today, with the soft hum of machinery in the distance and the occasional whoosh of a passing hover vehicle. "Are you sure this cable car is safe?" Alex asked, squinting at the glimmering line stretching high above the Martian canyon. Lila laughed, a warm, easy sound that seemed to float even in the thin Martian atmosphere. "Oh, Alex, this is the safest ride you'll ever take. Besides, I've been on Earth cable cars, and Mars ones are even better. Trust me." Alex wasn't entirely convinced, but he trusted Lila. She had always been like a second mom to him, cheerful, confident, and always ready for adventure. His real mom, busy with work in the colony's research labs, had sent them on this little day trip together. The cable car station was a sleek structure made of white alloy and reinforced glass. It jutted slightly over the canyon's edge, giving a breathtaking view of the valleys below. The cars themselves were small, transparent capsules that looked fragile against the vast Martian sky. Alex's stomach did a nervous flip. Lila noticed and nudged him gently. "Hey, it's going to be fun. And look at that view." She pointed toward the canyon, where the reddish rocks glowed under the soft Martian sun. Alex peered out and had to admit it was beautiful. The canyon stretched endlessly, layers of rock forming patterns that no human city could ever replicate. The dust in the wind sparkled faintly, giving the landscape an almost magical look. "Okay, fine," Alex said. "But if anything goes wrong, you're saving me first. Not the crystals or souvenirs." Lila laughed again. "Deal." They stepped into the cable car. Inside, it felt surprisingly roomy. There were seats along the edges, controls for emergencies, and the usual safety harnesses. The glass walls gave a clear, uninterrupted view of the canyon below. Alex pressed his face against the glass, already imagining what it would look like from the very top. The ride began smoothly. The cable car hummed as it moved upward, the valley below shrinking with every second. Alex felt a thrill that was part fear, part excitement. Lila leaned next to him, calm and smiling, as though she had done this 100 times before. "It's kind of scary, isn't it?" Alex whispered. "Maybe a little," Lila admitted. "But that's part of the fun. You feel alive, right?" Alex nodded, gripping the edge of the seat. The wind was stronger up here, and the car swayed slightly. He tried to focus on the view, the jagged cliffs, the distant mountains, the tiny paths humans had carved into the rocks below, but it was hard not to notice how high they were. Then, without warning, a sharp jolt shook the cable car. Alex yelped, grabbing the side of the seat. Lila stayed calm, gripping the edge as well, but her eyes widened slightly. "What was that?" Alex asked. "I think a magnetic storm," Lila said, her voice steady but serious. "Mars's weather can be unpredictable, especially near the canyon. These storms can interfere with electronics." Alex's heart skipped a beat. "Interfere? Like, the cable car could stop?" "Yes, but it's designed to handle it." "Don't panic," Lila reassured him. Then another jolt came, stronger this time. The cable car shuddered, and the soft hum of the motor cut out, replaced by a high-pitched whine as the control systems tried to reboot. The lights inside flickered. Alex's stomach dropped. Lila gripped his shoulder. "Stay calm, Alex. We're okay. The emergency systems will kick in." The emergency systems did kick in, but slowly. The cable car hung midair for a tense moment, swaying gently. Alex felt like the entire canyon was holding its breath with him. He looked at Lila, expecting her to panic, but she stayed calm, her eyes sharp and focused. "You've got this, Alex," she said suddenly. "I know you've trained with the survival kits. Remember everything you learned at the drills." Alex swallowed hard. She was right. He had practiced emergency protocols, handling drones, and even minor repairs on colony equipment. But he had never done it under real danger before. With the canyon yawning below him and the wind trying to push him off balance. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Okay," he whispered. "I can do this." The cable car's systems partially rebooted, but they couldn't fully restore the motor. They were stuck, hanging halfway up the canyon. The wind whipped around them, and dust spiraled against the glass walls. Lila glanced at Alex, then at the emergency communications panel. "Looks like the remote override isn't responding," she said. "We might have to do this the old-fashioned way." Alex's eyes widened. "Old-fashioned?" Lila smiled, though it was tight and serious at the same time. "Manual rescue. You're the one with the training. I think I owe you now. Don't I?" Alex blinked. "Wait. What?" "You heard me," Lila said, chuckling nervously. "You're going to save me. And when this is over, I'm definitely buying you the biggest Martian chocolate bar I can find. Maybe even two." Alex couldn't help but laugh despite the tension. "Right. Chocolate is motivation." "Got it." He looked around the car. The emergency harnesses were secure, but they wouldn't help if the cable car started sliding. He checked the small toolkit they had for emergencies: a grappling hook, magnetic clamps, a drone with a tether, and some repair tools. It wasn't much, but it might be enough. "First, we need to stabilize the car," Alex said, taking charge of the situation. Lila handed him the controls, trusting him completely. He carefully anchored the car to the nearest support tower, using the magnetic clamps. The car shuddered, but held. "Good job," Lila said, her voice calm but tinged with relief. "Now what?" "We need to signal the control center and get the drones ready," Alex replied. He activated the emergency drone, sending it ahead to assess the situation. The little machine buzzed through the thin Martian air, its cameras showing the cable car's precarious position from above. Alex studied the screens. The storm was stronger than usual, and the canyon walls made signal transmission tricky. He realized that he might have to improvise, to actually climb out and stabilize the car manually if the worst happened. Lila noticed his thoughtful look. "You're thinking you might have to—" "What? Really go out there?" Alex nodded. "Maybe. But first, we try everything else. Drones, signals. If that doesn't work, we'll go to Plan B." Lila gave him a reassuring smile. "I knew there was a reason I liked you. Brave and smart. Don't let me down." Alex felt a surge of determination. He wasn't just a kid anymore. Right now, he was someone who could make a difference. He wasn't going to let the canyon take Lila, or anyone, without a fight. The wind picked up again, and dust swirled like tiny red storms around the cable car. Alex tightened the harnesses, double-checked the clamps, and sent the drone forward again. The camera showed the canyon floor far below, jagged rocks and dusty trails stretching endlessly. He swallowed hard, focusing on the task. "We can do this," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. Lila gave him a nod, her expression calm, but Alex could see the tension behind her eyes. Minutes stretched into an eternity as they waited for any response from the control center. The storm howled around them, but Alex stayed steady, moving with purpose, thinking one step ahead. Lila watched, impressed and slightly awed. Finally, a faint signal came through. The control center was trying to send backup drones, but the storm was making it slow. They would have to hold on until help arrived, or take matters into their own hands. Alex glanced at Lila. "Looks like it's up to us for now." Lila chuckled softly. "I guess I do owe you now. Don't I?" she repeated. There was a hint of humor in her voice, and it helped Alex relax just enough to think clearly. "Yes," Alex said, smiling despite the danger. But you're going to pay me back in chocolate. That's part of the deal. They shared a brief laugh, but Alex's mind was already working through the next steps. He was ready to do whatever it took. The cable car might be stuck. The canyon might be treacherous, and the storm might be relentless, but Alex had one thing that machines didn't: human courage, creativity, and determination. And sometimes, that was enough to survive anything. Alex peered out of the cable car, watching the wind sweep across the canyon. Dust swirled like tiny storms around them, scratching against the glass walls. The drone buzzed in the thin Martian air, scanning the area ahead. It was the only connection they had to the colony now. "We need a plan," Alex said, his voice calm but firm. Lila nodded beside him, gripping the safety rail. Alex pulled out the grappling hook and magnetic clamps from the emergency kit. He had learned to use them during training exercises back at the colony, but never under real danger. Suspended hundreds of feet above the canyon floor, the cables hummed slightly under the strain of the storm, reminding him of the fragility of their situation. "Are you sure about this?" Lila asked. Her tone was steady, but Alex could hear the worry beneath it. "I have to try," Alex replied. "The cables are secure for now, but if the storm gets stronger, the emergency systems alone won't hold. I need to stabilize the car from the outside." Lila glanced at him. "You're brave, Alex. I mean, really brave. I hope you know that." Alex smiled, though there was no time for joking. "I learned from the best." He carefully attached the harness around his torso, adjusting it to make sure it was secure. The thin cable linking him to the car felt both reassuring and frightening. One wrong move, and he could slip into the canyon. But Alex took a deep breath, focusing on the task. He unclipped the side panel and stepped cautiously onto the small ledge outside the cable car. The wind buffeted him, threatening to push him sideways, but he pressed forward, his eyes fixed on the support cable ahead. The Martian sky stretched endlessly above, tinged with red and orange hues from the setting sun, while the canyon below seemed like an endless abyss. "Okay, Alex, careful," Lila called from inside. "You've got this. Just remember your training." Alex nodded without looking back. His mind raced through every drill he had practiced. Stabilize, anchor, check the environment, and improvise if necessary. He attached one of the magnetic clamps to the main cable, testing its strength. The clamp held firm, and a small spark of relief passed through him. "Stable," he whispered. "One step at a time." The drone followed him closely, projecting live footage back to the cable car screen. Lila watched the feed, her breath catching as Alex moved along the ledge. "You really know what you're doing," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. Alex concentrated, slowly moving the next clamp into place. He noticed small cracks along the cable's protective coating, likely caused by the storm. Using a tiny repair tool, he reinforced the cable where it seemed weakest. Every movement had to be precise. A single mistake could destabilize the car. The wind intensified suddenly, forcing Alex to crouch low and hold onto the cable with one hand while working with the other. Dust and small stones struck him, but he didn't flinch. Survival training had taught him to stay calm in chaos. From inside, Lila adjusted the car's internal stabilizers as Alex worked. "Hang on! You're doing great!" she called. Alex managed to attach the last clamp. He tested the cable's stability once more and felt it hold firmly. A small wave of satisfaction passed through him. They were safer now, though the storm was far from over. "Nice work, Alex," Lila exclaimed, her tone a mix of relief and amazement. "I knew humans were smart, but seeing it in action, wow." Alex smiled briefly, even as he tightened the last bolt on the clamp. He climbed back into the cable car, shaking dust from his hair. The interior felt warm and safe compared to the outside, though the adrenaline still buzzed in his veins. Lila gave him a thumbs up, smiling. "We make a good team," she said, her voice softer now. Brains and courage. Not even the storm can beat that. Alex grinned. We'll see about that. He turned his attention to the drone. Using its tether, he lowered it along the cable toward the nearest support tower, hoping it could attach a guideline to help pull the cable car down safely. The drone hummed as it moved, braving the gusting wind and the swirling Martian dust. Minutes passed like hours. Alex monitored the drone's progress closely, adjusting its movements to avoid obstacles. The canyon walls jutted out unpredictably, and the wind threatened to push the drone off course multiple times. Almost there, Alex muttered, his fingers flying over the controls. Finally, the drone reached the support tower and attached the guideline. Alex pulled a small lever inside the car, gradually transferring weight to the new support system. The cable car shifted slightly but remained stable. Lila let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Alex, you did it. I can't believe it. Alex smiled, but he knew better than to relax completely. The storm was still strong, and they weren't safe until they reached the station. He checked the main cable one last time and secured a secondary safety line. Okay, we're ready to move, Alex said, slow and steady, no sudden movements. He guided the cable car along the stabilized line, inch by inch. Lila held on, watching the canyon floor inch closer with each small movement. I never thought I'd be so glad to see solid ground, she said, half joking. Alex laughed softly. Humans are amazing, aren't we? Even when the odds are against us, we find a way. Lila nodded. Yeah, I guess that's why we're still here on Mars, huh? The cable car moved steadily, though the wind still howled around them. Alex focused on keeping it balanced, using every bit of training and creativity he had. He improvised small adjustments using the car's emergency systems and the guideline, ensuring they didn't sway too much. Halfway down, the wind shifted violently. The cable car tilted dangerously to one side, and Alex reacted instinctively, using his body weight and the secondary line to counterbalance. Dust and rocks hit the glass walls, and Lila braced herself, heart pounding. You okay? Alex shouted over the wind. I'm fine, Lila yelled back, holding on tightly. But you're incredible, Alex. Seriously. The cable car stabilized again. Alex allowed himself a brief smile but stayed alert. He guided them carefully down, using slow, deliberate movements. The canyon walls loomed on either side, and the view of the Martian sunset was both terrifying and breathtaking. Finally, they reached a safer section of the cable line, where the wind was less severe. Alex paused, checking the stability once more. Almost there, he said, relief creeping into his voice. Lila exhaled deeply. You know, you really earned that chocolate bar. Alex chuckled. Maybe even two. He guided the car the last few meters toward the landing station. The emergency systems beeped as the car touched the platform, and Alex carefully lowered the last section of the cable. The car shuddered slightly but stayed firm. They were safe. Lila jumped up and hugged Alex tightly, laughing with relief. Alex smiled, feeling a mix of pride and exhaustion. Lila stepped back, her eyes wide as she looked at him. Seriously, Alex, I knew humans were smart, but seeing you handle all that, wow, I'm impressed. Alex laughed softly. Thanks. I just did what I had to. Brains, courage, and a little bit of luck. The storm began to subside slowly as the sun dipped below the horizon. Dust settled in the canyon, and the red glow of Mars softened into evening. The colony lights began to twinkle below them, welcoming them back to safety. Lila looked at Alex with admiration. You know, humans really are something special. No matter how dangerous things get, we find a way to survive and even laugh about it afterwards. Alex nodded. Yeah, that's what makes us, us. And sometimes, that's enough to beat the storm. For a moment, They both stood in silence, watching the Martian landscape. The danger had passed, but the thrill of what they had accomplished lingered. Alex felt a sense of pride, not just for himself, but for the human spirit that had carried them through. "You really think humans can handle anything?" Lila asked softly. Alex smiled, thinking about the storm, the canyon, and the precarious cable car. "If we work together and stay smart, there's almost nothing we can't do." In Ride, in Teneclu, and in that moment, high above the Martian colony, Alex and Lila knew that humans were capable of incredible things, even when faced with storms that seemed unstoppable. The sun had disappeared completely behind the Martian canyon walls, leaving the colony in a quiet, soft twilight. Alex and Lila stood at the edge of the landing platform, their hearts still racing from the tense moments on the cable car. Even though the storm had slowed, the canyon was still a dangerous place, and the night would bring its own challenges. Alex checked the emergency systems one last time. The cable car had been stabilized, but the final descent to the station was still tricky. A slight misstep could send it swinging dangerously over the canyon floor. He glanced at Lila, who was watching him with a mixture of admiration and concern. "You ready?" he asked, his voice steady. Lila took a deep breath and nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." "Lead the way, Alex." Alex smiled faintly. "Good. Stay calm. And follow my instructions exactly." He guided the cable car along the support lines, inching toward the final section of the descent. The wind was lighter now, but it still whispered against the metal and glass, carrying a faint dust storm that coated the canyon walls. Alex kept his hands steady on the controls, eyes flicking between the cable and the drone feed. "This part is tricky," he said. "We need to move slowly and make sure the balance stays perfect." Lila nodded, gripping the interior handles tightly. "Got it." The cable car swayed slightly as Alex adjusted the tension on the guidelines. Each movement had to be deliberate. Too fast, and the car could swing violently. Too slow, and they would be stuck overnight with no way to move. He decided on a rhythm. Small, careful nudges, watching the drone feed, and feeling the cable beneath his hands. Halfway through the final stretch, the cable car hit a patch of turbulence caused by the canyon wind. It tilted dangerously, and Lila gasped. Alex reacted instantly, using his weight and the secondary tether to counterbalance the car. "Hold on," he shouted over the wind. "We're okay." The car leveled out, and Lila let out a shaky laugh. "I swear, Alex, if we make it down alive, I'm never doubting your skills again." Alex smiled, though his focus remained sharp. "This is why we train, Lila. Humans don't panic, we adapt." The cable car approached a narrow section between two jagged cliffs. Alex guided it carefully, inch by inch, making sure the magnetic clamps were gripping securely. The canyon walls were rough, with sharp edges that could easily scratch or damage the car. He adjusted the car's angle slightly to avoid contact, but the process was slow and nerve-wracking. Lila watched silently, trusting Alex completely. Even though she had faced many challenges in her life, this was different. The combination of height, wind, and fragile equipment made it feel like the canyon itself was testing them. Suddenly, the drone feed showed a small problem. A cable near the landing station had shifted slightly due to the earlier storm. If they didn't adjust for it, the car could get stuck or swing uncontrollably as it approached the platform. "Alex, look!" Lila pointed at the screen. "We have a problem." Alex frowned, studying the feed. "I see it. Don't worry, we can fix it." He took a small tool from the kit and adjusted the tension manually, using the secondary tether. His hands worked quickly but carefully, following the patterns he had practiced countless times during drills. The cable shifted slightly, and the car stabilized. "Good," he said, breathing a little easier. "We're back on track." Lila smiled at him. "You make it look so easy." Alex chuckled softly. "It's not easy, it's just practice and focus." The final meters were the hardest. The cable car had to slow down to a crawl, guided by the magnetic clamps and Alex's steady hands. Every inch brought them closer to solid ground, but also increased the tension. The canyon floor seemed to stretch forever below them, a reminder of how far a misstep could send them. Alex's eyes scanned every inch of the cable, every movement of the car. He adjusted the angle slightly, tested the tension on the clamps, and communicated constantly with Lila. Almost there. Keep your balance. Stay calm. Lila nodded, her hands gripping the handles tightly. I trust you, Alex. Just hurry, please. A gust of wind suddenly hit the car from the side, tilting it dangerously. Alex reacted immediately, shifting his weight and adjusting the tether. The car swung slightly, but stayed on course. Lila held her breath, heart pounding, and then let out a relieved laugh when the car stabilized. You really are incredible, she said, still catching her breath. I never doubted humans before. But seeing you in action. Wow. Alex smiled, but didn't relax. We're not done yet. Almost there. The landing platform was now visible. The lights from the colony reflected off the metal rails, guiding them safely down. Alex carefully guided the car along the final stretch, making sure the clamps and guidelines held firm. The drone hovered nearby, providing a steady eye on any potential obstacles. Finally, with a small, controlled jolt, the cable car touched the platform. Alex eased the tension on the tethers, making sure the car was secure. Leela let out a cheer and hugged him tightly. You did it! She exclaimed. I can't believe we made it! Alex laughed, a mixture of relief and pride washing over him. We made it. Humans always find a way. Lila stepped back, still smiling, and looked at him with admiration. I think I owe you more than chocolate now. You saved my life, Alex. You really did. No. Alex shrugged, modestly. Just doing what humans do best. Stay calm, think clearly, and never give up. The storm had passed completely now, leaving the canyon calm and quiet. The dust had settled, and the night sky stretched above them, filled with stars reflecting faintly on the red Martian soil. Alex and Lila stood on the platform, catching their breath, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. Lila looked at Alex, her eyes shining with a mix of gratitude and awe. You know, humans really are something special. Even when the odds are against us, we figure it out. We survive. And sometimes, we even thrive. Alex nodded. That's why we're here, Lila. No matter how dangerous things get, humans always find a way. We don't give up, and we help each other. They spent a few moments in silence, watching the Martian sky. The colony lights below twinkled like tiny beacons of safety. The canyon, once a place of danger and fear, now felt like a conquered challenge, a reminder of human ingenuity and courage. I think we make a great team, Lila said finally, breaking the silence. Brains, courage, and a little humor. I've never been more impressed. Alex smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. We do. Humans are amazing when we work together. The drone buzzed softly nearby, recording the final moments of their descent. Alex reached out and patted it gently. Even the machines have to admire what humans can do, he joked. Lila laughed, the sound bright and joyful. Absolutely. I'll never forget this, Alex. Not for a second. Alex glanced at the canyon, now calm and quiet. The red rocks glowed faintly under the starry sky. He felt a sense of pride, not just for the rescue, but for what it represented. Humans, even young ones like him, could face extreme challenges and come out stronger. Creativity, courage, and teamwork weren't just words, they were tools that could conquer even the harshest environment. As they walked back toward the colony, Lila turned to him with a grin. You know, you definitely earned that chocolate bar. And maybe a few more rewards, too. Alex laughed softly. I'll hold you to that. The night air was calm now, filled with the quiet hum of the colony's life. Alex felt a sense of accomplishment, but also excitement for the adventures still ahead. He had proven, to himself and to Lila, that humans were capable of amazing things, even when faced with storms, cliffs, and the unpredictable dangers of Mars. Lila glanced at him again, smiling warmly. I guess I do owe you now, she said, echoing her earlier words. And next time, maybe we can take a safer ride. Alex laughed, shaking his head. Safe is boring. But maybe next time, we'll plan a little better. Together, they walked toward the colony, leaving the canyon behind. The adventure was over, but the story of human ingenuity, courage, and resilience had only just begun. The colony lights glimmered softly in the Martian night as Alex and Lila walked through the streets, dust still settling from the storm earlier. The air smelled faintly metallic, mixed with the scent of Martian soil brought in by the wind. Lila's steps were light but careful, and Alex could see the lingering adrenaline in her expression. You know, Lila began, breaking the silence. I still can't believe how calm you were out there. I was terrified. And you just handled everything like it was nothing. Alex shrugged modestly. I was scared too. You don't survive here by being fearless. You survive by staying focused, using your brain, and trusting your instincts. And trusting your team. Lila smiled warmly. Well, I'm glad I was on your team. Seriously, Alex, you saved my life. Not everyone could have done that. Alex laughed softly. Humans can do amazing things when they put their minds to it. It's just, sometimes we surprise ourselves. They reached the colony's central plaza. A wide-open space with Martian stone paving and the faint hum of machinery. Robots moved supplies quietly in the background, but the plaza felt calm and safe compared to the canyon they had just escaped. Lila paused and looked up at the night sky. The stars shone brightly above, distant suns twinkling faintly over the red horizon. She let out a deep breath, as though letting go of the fear that had clutched her during the cable car ordeal. Look at that, she said softly. It's beautiful. And I feel lucky. Lucky to be alive. Lucky to know humans can handle so much. Alex nodded. That's the thing about humans. We adapt. We find ways to survive, and even thrive, no matter where we are. That's what makes us special. Lila turned to him with a playful grin. You know, you definitely earned your rewards for today. Chocolate bars, Martian treats, and maybe even a medal for bravery. Alex laughed. Chocolate is good enough for me, but a medal wouldn't hurt either. They walked together toward the small colony cafe, a place where humans could relax and enjoy food that reminded them of Earth. The smell of baked goods and warm beverages greeted them. Inside, a few colonists glanced at them curiously, aware of the storm and its aftermath. Some even smiled knowingly at Alex, as if they had heard about the daring cable car rescue. Lila ordered 2 hot chocolate drinks, and they sat by a window overlooking the Martian plains. Steam rose from the cups, swirling gently in the warm air of the cafe. Alex took a careful sip, feeling the warmth spread through him. You know, Lila said, stirring her drink. This will be a story to tell for a long time. The storm, the canyon, the cable car, and you, saving me like a hero. People will talk about this. Alex smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. I don't know about hero. I just did what needed to be done. Humans survive, we help each other, and we never give up. That's all. Lila's eyes softened. You make it sound so simple. But it wasn't. You stayed calm, brave, and smart when everything could have gone wrong. That's what makes it impressive. That's what makes it human. Alex thought about the past few hours, the fear, the wind, the dust, and the relentless tension. And yet, he also thought about the creativity, quick thinking, and teamwork that had gotten them through. Lila's words resonated with him. Maybe that was what being human really meant. Facing danger, thinking clearly, and helping others, even when it seemed impossible. I guess humans are kind of amazing, huh? He said quietly. Lila laughed softly. Yeah, we really are, and we're lucky we can rely on each other when it matters most. For a while, they sat in silence, enjoying the peace of the cafe and the gentle warmth from their drinks. The storm outside was gone, replaced by a calm Martian night, and the canyon loomed quietly in the distance, a reminder of the danger they had survived. You know, Lila said after a moment, I think I learned something today. About humans, about courage, about teamwork, about trust. Alex raised an eyebrow. Trust? Lila nodded. Yeah, I trusted you up there, completely, and you didn't let me down. That's something special, Alex. Something I'll never forget. Alex felt a warm pride swell inside him. He realized that the experience wasn't just about surviving the storm. It was about human qualities shining through under pressure. Ingenuity, courage, teamwork, and trust. That was what made humans remarkable. And, Lila continued, a teasing smile on her face, I owe you now. Seriously. That chocolate bar deal? Still on. And maybe more. I have a feeling I'll be paying off this debt for a while. Alex laughed, shaking his head. You're lucky I like chocolate. They talked for a while longer, sharing stories of past adventures and imagining future ones. Lila joked about planning safer trips next time, though Alex knew she secretly enjoyed the thrill as much as he did. They discussed how humans had colonized Mars, how people worked together to survive in such a harsh environment, and how courage and creativity had made it all possible. You know, Alex, Lila said thoughtfully, seeing what humans can do, even a kid like you, makes me proud to be human. We're not perfect. We're not invincible. But we have something else. Something incredible. Alex nodded slowly. Yeah, that's what I think too. Humans never give up. We find solutions. We help each other. And sometimes, we surprise ourselves. Outside, the wind shifted gently across the colony. The canyon was calm now, peaceful under the starlight. Alex and Lila looked out the window together, feeling a quiet connection to the world around them. It was a moment of reflection, a time to appreciate the power and resilience of humans. You know what else I think? Lila said, turning to him with a grin. I think humans are lucky. Lucky to have courage, lucky to have friends, and lucky to survive even the craziest situations. Alex smiled. And lucky to have chocolate at the end of it. They laughed together, the sound warm and full of relief. It was a simple, human moment, yet it carried the weight of everything they had survived. The canyon, the storm, the cable car, they had faced it all, and come out stronger. Lila's eyes softened again. Alex, promise me one thing. Never forget what humans can do. Never forget how amazing we can be. When we work together, when we stay brave, and when we don't give up. Alex nodded, feeling the truth in her words. I promise, and I'll remember this forever. Not just the storm, but the courage, the teamwork, and the way humans shine when it matters most. They finished their drinks and stepped outside. The Martian night cool against their skin. The stars twinkled above, and the colony hummed with quiet life. Alex felt a deep sense of connection to the planet, to the people around him, and to the human spirit itself. Lila patted his shoulder. Come on, hero. Let's get you that chocolate before you collapse from exhaustion. Alex laughed, following her toward the colony's small market. He realized something important. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, not just because of technology or strength, but because of courage, creativity, and the ability to care for one another. That was the true power of humanity. And as he walked beside Lila, under the quiet Martian sky, Alex knew one thing for certain. Humans would always find a way, no matter the challenge. Tonight, he wasn't just a kid. He was a part of something bigger. Something that showed the world, even on a distant planet, that humans were remarkable. Lila nudged him playfully. So, chocolate first? Medals later? Alex grinned. Exactly. Humans may do amazing things, but we also know how to enjoy the little rewards. They laughed together, walking into the warm lights of the market. The canyon loomed behind them, silent now, a reminder of the adventure they had survived. The story of the storm, the cable car, and the daring rescue would stay with them forever. But even more than the danger, it was the story of human courage, ingenuity, and heart. As they disappeared into the bustling Martian colony, the night air held a sense of promise. Humans could face storms, cliffs, and the unknown, and still thrive. Alex knew this was only the beginning. The adventures, the challenges, and the triumphs would continue. And humans would continue to shine, no matter where they were. Because that was what humans did best.